My child, before your heart decides that this is just another ordinary moment, linger here for a little while, because something beautiful has been quietly moving toward you without asking for attention. There are seasons when nothing seems to change on the surface, yet everything beneath it begins to transform. This is one of those seasons. A gentle shift has already begun, and although your eyes may not recognize it yet, another heart has felt it so deeply that it can no longer hide what it has been carrying. There is someone whose thoughts keep returning to you in the quietest hours, not because they are trying to force the memory, but because your presence has become a place of peace inside them. They have replayed ordinary moments that once seemed too small to matter. A simple conversation. A forgotten smile. A moment when you chose kindness instead of pride. Those memories have grown into something far greater than either of you could have imagined. What changed? That is the question they have been asking themselves again and again. Why does your name suddenly feel different? Why does your absence feel heavier than before? Why does hope feel stronger than fear? The answer did not arrive all at once. It unfolded slowly, almost invisibly, like the first light appearing before sunrise. Sometimes the greatest realizations never announce themselves. They simply settle into the heart until one day they become impossible to ignore. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. You may have believed that nothing you were doing was being noticed. Perhaps you thought your quiet patience disappeared into silence. Perhaps you wondered whether choosing peace instead of chasing someone had made you invisible. Yet while you were learning to breathe without forcing outcomes, someone else was watching life reveal a truth they had never expected. They began comparing who they once were with who they are becoming now. They noticed that every version of their future somehow included one familiar face. Yours. Not because everything was perfect. Not because every answer had already appeared. But because your influence reached places words never could. They realized that your value was never found in dramatic moments. It was hidden inside the calm you carried, the grace you showed when no one applauded you, the quiet confidence that refused to become bitterness. Those are the things that stayed with them long after conversations ended. Have you ever wondered why some people suddenly return with a completely different heart? Not because time alone changed them. Because understanding finally caught up with memory. And that is exactly what has been happening. There are moments when they unexpectedly stop whatever they are doing, simply because a memory of you appears without warning. It isn't loud. It isn't overwhelming. It is gentle, almost comforting. Yet every time it happens, another piece of the puzzle falls into place. Little by little. Day by day. Their heart has been learning something their mind resisted for a very long time. Real love is rarely recognized in the moment it first appears. Often it is understood only after silence has taught its lessons. That is why tears can sometimes come from joy instead of sadness. Not because everything has already happened, but because hope has become real enough to touch. Stay till the end, because the next piece of this story has not reached its brightest moment yet. If you could see what is happening inside their heart right now, you would not see confusion. You would see gratitude slowly replacing regret. You would see peace replacing restless questions. You would see someone smiling through tears because they have finally stopped searching everywhere else for what was quietly standing before them all along. They have discovered something precious. They no longer want a version of life built on uncertainty. They long for something genuine. Something steady. Something that grows stronger instead of louder. And every honest reflection keeps leading them back to one unforgettable realization. You were never asking them to become someone else. You simply inspired them to become their truest self. That realization has changed everything. Yet there is still one beautiful part of this journey that has not fully unfolded. A conversation remains unspoken. A feeling remains unshared. A chapter has opened, but its first page has only just begun to turn. And when that page finally reveals what has been quietly waiting all this time, even they will wonder why it took their heart so long to recognize what it had been searching for from the very beginning. A quiet truth is about to rise from a place neither of you expected, and when it does, you will understand why some answers refuse to arrive until the heart is finally ready to receive them. Not every miracle begins with celebration. Some begin with a long silence that slowly teaches two souls how to recognize what truly matters. While you have been living one ordinary day after another, believing life was simply moving forward, another story has been unfolding beyond your view. Every experience they faced, every unexpected turn, every moment of reflection has gently guided them toward one unmistakable realization: you were never just a passing chapter. You became the calm they measured everything else against. There were evenings when they found themselves surrounded by people, yet strangely aware that something meaningful was missing. Nothing dramatic happened. No sudden event demanded their attention. Instead, a simple thought appeared so naturally that they almost overlooked it. They wondered why happiness never felt complete unless the memory of you somehow found its way into it. That question stayed with them far longer than they expected. The more they tried to understand it, the clearer everything became. Some people impress the mind, but very few quietly transform the heart. You became that quiet transformation. Perhaps you never realized the effect your gentle spirit had on someone who rarely admitted what they truly felt. You never needed perfect words. You never needed constant attention. Your greatest impact came through the moments you probably forgot, the encouragement you offered without expecting anything back, the patience you showed when it would have been easier to walk away, the kindness that asked for no recognition. Those small moments gathered together like stars across a dark sky until they formed a picture impossible to ignore. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. There is a reason their heart feels overwhelmed today. It isn't because life suddenly became perfect. It is because they finally stopped measuring love by excitement alone. They began recognizing the quiet comfort that remained long after every distraction faded. They realized that peace has its own unmistakable voice, and somehow that voice always reminded them of you. For the first time, they allowed themselves to imagine a future without fear controlling every decision. They pictured ordinary mornings filled with laughter instead of uncertainty. They imagined conversations that didn't require pretending. They imagined building something real instead of chasing something temporary. And every time that vision grew clearer, your presence naturally became part of it. Not because they forced the image into their thoughts, but because it already belonged there. Stay till the end, because the deepest realization has not yet arrived. There is another reason joy has brought unexpected tears to their eyes. They have begun forgiving themselves for the moments when they misunderstood what was truly valuable. Instead of remaining trapped by yesterday's mistakes, they have chosen to learn from them. That choice has opened a door inside them that had remained closed for far too long. Behind that door was not regret alone. It was gratitude. Gratitude that your story did not disappear from their heart simply because time kept moving. Gratitude that hope still feels alive. Gratitude that some connections become stronger through quiet growth rather than constant noise. You may not hear these words today. You may not see every change immediately. Yet hearts that grow honestly leave gentle signs before they ever speak. Their patience has become softer. Their thoughts have become clearer. Their prayers have become simpler. Instead of asking for everything at once, they now ask for wisdom, timing, and the courage to recognize what has always been precious. That is why their happiness carries tears. Not tears of sadness. Not tears of loss. But tears that appear when someone realizes they almost overlooked one of life's greatest blessings and discovers that hope is still waiting with open arms. Yet one final discovery remains hidden. There is a single memory they have not fully understood, a moment from the past that is about to reveal why your paths crossed exactly when they did. When that forgotten piece returns, everything they feel today will become even clearer, and the journey will take a turn neither heart could have predicted. Without any warning, an ordinary memory is about to become the key that unlocks everything they could never explain before. It won't arrive with loud excitement or dramatic signs. It will come quietly, almost like a whisper passing through the heart, carrying a truth that has been waiting with remarkable patience. Some memories fade because they have finished their purpose. Others return because their purpose has only just begun. There is one particular moment they have replayed countless times without fully understanding why. It wasn't the biggest conversation you ever shared. It wasn't the longest day you spent together. In fact, anyone watching from the outside might have missed it completely. Yet hidden inside that simple moment was something extraordinary, a feeling of being understood without needing to explain every thought. That feeling stayed with them. Even when life became busy. Even when new opportunities appeared. Even when they convinced themselves they had moved forward. It remained quietly alive beneath everything else. Now, as they revisit that memory with a different heart, they finally recognize what they could not see before. They weren't remembering an event. They were remembering how they felt when you were simply being yourself. That realization has become impossible to ignore. Have you ever noticed how the heart remembers peace more clearly than excitement? Excitement often shines brightly for a moment and then slowly fades. Peace, however, settles deep within the soul and patiently waits until it is recognized. That is exactly what has happened. The happiness they feel today isn't built on fantasy. It comes from discovering that what they searched for in distant places had quietly existed much closer than they ever imagined. Every comparison they once made has disappeared. Every unnecessary question has begun losing its weight. Instead of wondering who might make them happier tomorrow, they have started appreciating who consistently brought calm into yesterday. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. Something inside them has become wonderfully simple. They no longer feel the need to impress everyone around them. They no longer chase endless approval. Instead, they find themselves asking one quiet question whenever your memory appears. What if the greatest gift in my future has been patiently waiting for me all along? That question has filled their heart with unexpected gratitude. And with gratitude came emotion they could no longer hide. There were moments recently when they smiled for reasons no one else understood. Friends noticed a different light in their eyes. Family sensed a peaceful confidence that had not been there before. They couldn't fully explain it, because some transformations happen too deeply for ordinary words. How do you describe the moment when confusion finally gives way to clarity? How do you explain realizing that someone never needed to become extraordinary because they already brought extraordinary peace into your life? Those answers cannot always be spoken immediately. Sometimes they are simply felt. Stay till the end, because the next realization is even more beautiful. While you have been focusing on your own journey, learning lessons that only your path could teach, another heart has been quietly growing in ways you could never have measured. The distance between you has not been empty. It has been filled with reflection, maturity, and a deeper appreciation for what truly lasts. That is why today's happiness feels different. It isn't built on excitement alone. It rests on understanding. And understanding creates a joy that doesn't disappear when circumstances change. Yet there is one final piece they have not shared with anyone. Not with family. Not with close friends. Not even with themselves in complete honesty. There is a sentence resting quietly within their heart, waiting for the right moment to be spoken aloud. Every passing day makes that sentence clearer, stronger, and impossible to silence. When those words finally leave their heart, they won't simply express a feeling. They will reveal a decision. And that decision will explain why tears of happiness have become more natural than silence, why hope now feels stronger than hesitation, and why this story is only beginning to reveal its most meaningful chapter. A new chapter often begins so quietly that most people mistake it for another ordinary day, yet this is the very place where everything starts to change. While the world continues moving at its familiar pace, two hearts are slowly arriving at the same destination from different directions. Neither journey has been rushed. Neither lesson has been wasted. Every delay has been shaping a deeper understanding that could never have been forced. There is something remarkable about the way they see you now. They no longer remember you only through moments from the past. They imagine you as part of the future. That single shift has changed everything inside them. Before, memories simply visited their mind. Now, possibilities have begun filling their heart. There is a quiet difference between remembering someone and beginning to build tomorrow with them in your thoughts. They have crossed that invisible line without even realizing when it happened. One day they were reflecting on yesterday. The next, they found themselves wondering what ordinary mornings, peaceful evenings, shared laughter, and meaningful conversations could look like if your paths continued together. That thought didn't frighten them. It comforted them. And comfort became hope. Hope became gratitude. Gratitude became tears they never expected to shed. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. They've discovered that happiness isn't always loud. Sometimes it arrives with a deep breath, a gentle smile, and a heart that finally stops resisting what it has quietly known for so long. There have been moments recently when they paused in the middle of an ordinary day for no obvious reason. A familiar song drifted by. A sunset painted the sky with colors they wished they could share. Someone spoke a sentence that reminded them of your kindness. None of these moments were planned, yet each one carried your presence like a gentle echo. Instead of pushing those thoughts away, they welcomed them. Instead of questioning them, they listened. And the more they listened, the more one truth became impossible to deny. You were never just someone they met. You became someone who changed the way they understood love itself. Not through grand promises. Not through dramatic gestures. But through consistency. Through sincerity. Through the quiet strength of simply being yourself. Stay till the end, because the heart is preparing to reveal something it has protected for a very long time. Perhaps you have wondered why certain chapters take longer to unfold than expected. It isn't because they have been forgotten. It is because some blessings become stronger when they are given room to mature. Just as a tree grows unseen beneath the soil before anyone admires its branches, this connection has been developing in places neither of you could fully see. While you were learning patience, they were learning appreciation. While you were finding peace within yourself, they were discovering what genuine peace felt like because of you. Those two journeys have been moving toward one another all along. Now something inside them feels wonderfully different. The need to hide their feelings is becoming smaller. The desire to speak honestly is becoming stronger. Not because someone told them what to do, but because the truth has become too beautiful to remain unspoken. They have started rehearsing conversations that have never happened. Not out of fear. Out of hope. They imagine looking into your eyes with nothing to prove and nothing to hide. They imagine thanking you for qualities you probably never realized were changing their life. They imagine telling you that the greatest gift you gave them wasn't perfection, it was the courage to believe that real love could feel calm instead of confusing. That thought alone has filled their heart with overwhelming joy. Yet one final realization still waits quietly beyond the horizon. There is a moment approaching when an unexpected connection between your past and their present will suddenly make perfect sense. When that moment arrives, the tears of happiness they feel today will no longer be private. What has lived silently within their heart will finally find its voice, and the story you thought was only beginning will reveal that destiny had been writing this chapter far longer than either of you ever knew. Just beyond this moment lies a realization so gentle that it almost escapes notice, yet once it touches the heart, nothing is seen in quite the same way again. Life has a remarkable habit of preparing answers long before either person knows the questions they will eventually ask. That is why today's happiness feels so deep. It was not created overnight. It was quietly woven together through countless unseen moments that now finally make sense. There was a time when they believed timing alone decided everything. Now they understand something far more meaningful. People grow. Hearts mature. Perspectives change. And when those changes happen with honesty, familiar faces begin to shine in completely new ways. Your soulmate has been experiencing exactly that. The version of you they once remembered has gently expanded into something even more beautiful. They no longer see isolated memories. They see a complete picture. They notice how your kindness remained steady even when life became uncertain. They admire how you never needed to become someone else just to be accepted. They recognize the quiet courage it takes to keep believing in goodness while the world constantly asks people to become harder. That understanding has filled them with overwhelming gratitude. Not because they suddenly discovered who you are, but because they finally understood who you have been all along. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. Something unexpected happened inside them recently. Instead of wondering whether you would understand their heart, they began asking whether they were ready to honor yours. That single question changed everything. It replaced hesitation with sincerity. It replaced uncertainty with purpose. It replaced restless thinking with peaceful confidence. For the first time in a long while, they stopped imagining perfect circumstances and started appreciating authentic connection. They realized that real happiness is not found in extraordinary events alone. Sometimes it appears in the simple hope of sharing ordinary days with someone whose presence makes life feel lighter. That hope has become stronger every morning. Every quiet evening. Every unexpected memory. Every peaceful smile. Stay till the end, because the next truth has been waiting longer than you realize. There are moments when they catch themselves smiling without explanation. Someone asks what happened, and they simply shake their head because they cannot fully describe it. How could they explain that happiness arrived through understanding instead of surprise? How could they explain that the greatest change happened inside their heart long before anyone else could see it? Their tears are no longer about what was missed. They are about what is still possible. They have begun believing that meaningful connections are not measured by how loudly they begin but by how faithfully they continue growing. Every lesson they have learned has gently pointed them back toward the same quiet conclusion. Some people enter your life to teach you a lesson. Some people encourage you for a season. But a very rare person becomes a reminder of the kind of love that brings peace instead of pressure. That is who you have become in their heart. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this. You never tried to convince them. You never demanded recognition. You simply remained true to yourself. Now they understand why that mattered. The joy they feel today comes from realizing they no longer have to search for what already feels like home. That realization has brought a calm happiness unlike anything they have experienced before. Yet there is one final step still waiting. A quiet moment is drawing closer when thoughts will become words, and silent gratitude will become an honest conversation. What has lived only within their heart will finally begin to reach yours. And when that moment arrives, you will discover that the tears of happiness they carry today were never the ending of this story. They were the first gentle sign that two hearts, after growing in their own seasons, were finally ready to recognize the beautiful chapter waiting just ahead.